Hello there, my name is Metembe Thomas Chuma. Welcome to the Son of Koma podcast. Today I decided to do a podcast outside because, beautiful weather, it's a good time to be alive. So I apologize if there may be like some extra loud sounds. There's a bit of wind going on. We're close to the road, so there may be traffic, and it's almost lunchtime, so people may be coming outside and walking and talking and stuff. You know how it is. So what I wanted to talk about today is the topic that I've really been thinking about a lot lately, which is how the African community has been affected by urbanization. So in order for me to really dive deep into what I think of this and how it came about, we have to discuss the context first, right? Which is during the colonization period, the white settlers, when they came to Africa, they created towns and cities, and it both pushed and pulled people to leave their rural communities and live there because of the attraction for a better life and increased difficulties of existence, in the rural communities, because there was some taxes that were imposed on indigenous Africans, taxes for hard tax or cattle tax, and then they'd come and then they take your livestock. So it made it difficult for them to farm together or to do anything really, because the livestock was the source of wealth for most of the indigenous Africans, right? So as such, many people moved to the urban areas. They got they got better jobs, and they had a seemingly improved standard of life, where they had a much more closer proximity to things like running water, electricity, services in general. So as a result, I think this somehow, or in a way, separated us from being a community. It took away the power, the one biggest power that I believe that we as human beings possess, which is the power of collectivization and improvement and innovation through the collectivization of ideas and energy and wealth. For example, let's take all the great achievements that have been made by human beings. There's a lot of wind here. I don't know if this audio is going to be any good. For example, the buildings of great buildings like Great Zimbabwe, big dams, massive bridges. All of those were done through collectivization of human efforts. That's how we evolved and became the superior animals on the planet. So when you really think about it now, when we came to the cities, we were now living closer in these suburban and urban areas, but we were much less connected because everybody woke up and went to work, and everybody woke up and went to school. So there wasn't really time for us to bond as a community and discuss the problems that we find and the problems that we all have in common, So we became essentially separated by class, and we didn't have common problems with the person who was next door to you. And that makes it difficult for us to come together and be like, hey, I think we have this problem, and I think we can find a solution together. That made it extremely difficult. So you look at how we used to do things in the past compared to how we do things now. Now we're much less effective because we are not communities. We're just individuals who are following the capitalistic blueprint of how to do things. We just focus on our own immediate problems, such that the problems of the community as a whole, they come secondary or not even considered at all. For example, you look at things that may from the outside seem simple, like cutting of grass as a community, to just come together and cut the grass, or to come together as a community and pick up the litter and clean up our own neighborhoods. We can't really organize that. because everybody has got their own problems. We don't see each other as ourselves. We don't see someone else who's your neighbor as an extension of yourself. You see your neighbor as a competitor, because that's how the system is sort of like built. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like the more that I say it, I kind of feel like it makes more sense. So you realize that like stuff like this, it also makes it difficult for us to raise our children together as a community, because my grandmother would tell me, my mother would tell me the same stories, where if you were doing mischievous things as a kid and any adult found you, back in those days, they would reprimand you. You'd get some form of corporal punishment, or if they were lenient on you, they would tell your parents. But now you can't do that anymore, because you can't go around and hitting stranger people's kids. You're going to end up in prison. So that's what it has made us. It has removed all of that familiarity between each other. We don't see each other as one unit. We just now see each other as separate units. So now when I look at an adult, I don't see an extension of my parent. I just see an adult. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it all wrong, but I feel like urbanization really has taken away one of our greatest powers that we had as human beings. Because when we were still a community, we were still together, we would be able to pull in together resources, and maybe we get some plows, we get some cattle, and we all come together and say, no, today we're farming so and so's plot, tomorrow we're farming so and so's plot, and we would get stuff done much more efficiently and much more easier. And I genuinely do feel like that the system has been designed in such a way that that's no longer no longer seen as the best way to do things, and that way of life has sort of like been demonized. And you can kind of see a correlation, although I wouldn't say it's a causation, and some people will disagree, that there's this increase in delinquency in the youths and the separation of the community. So maybe instead of blaming and focusing more on the symptoms, we should really take a closer look on the causations. I'm not saying it's impossible for us to be more collectivized in an urban setting, but I'm just saying that it's much more difficult to do so. Anyways, my name is Benjamin Thomas Chuma. This has been the Son of Kama podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I hope that I find you well. Thank you. And bye-bye.